Debbie Todenbush.
Here.
Dave Waymeyer. Betty Werner. Gavin Woolley.
Here. Pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of minutes from our May meeting. I have a motion to approve or disapprove, or
I'll make the motion.
motion by Bob and second by Gavin. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Parks report.
Parks report, I'll make it brief. Most of my report will be the, what's going on with the pool. So mainly a lot of our activities right now include lots of grass mowing. We have a number of guys working on all the landscape beds around town, including some new ones and some revamped ones. We revamped the park entrance bed at Berger, Phoenix, and we're getting ready to add one or create a new one at the dog park with the new sign down there. And then just today, if you've been by the riverfront this afternoon, they installed a new bed. They're just west of the kiosk down there in the west parking lot. I haven't seen it in person yet, but the pictures I saw looks really nice.
Looks real good.
So that'll be a nice addition down there. When it's not raining, we're working on Ronzik Field for the Legion team that's playing out there. And then just recently, we've had some requests from baseball, softball teams to use Lakeview fields. And we have a tournament this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, a girls softball tournament at Lakeview, using all 4 fields. And then we've had some requests come in this week about baseball tournaments, youth baseball tournaments on those fields in the upcoming weekends. So we're working with some of the renters on that, on those tournaments and scheduling and operations and how all that goes. So main park playground, we're still hauling when it's not raining and when we're not mowing grass. We're hauling rock in there, and then we will compact it, and then we have to pour concrete curbings, which will keep the rock in place, and then the contractor will come back and pour the rubberized surfacing, and then that playground will be usable. We'll still have sidewalks and some landscaping to do, but that won't deter it from opening. So trying to think what else. I'll get into the pool in a little bit as far as what's going on there. But that's pretty much all I have for Parks report.
Okay. Anybody in the audience? Communications, anybody want to say something from the audience? Sorry, with this thing.
Hi, my name is Gabby Adams. I attended a council meeting about 2 weeks ago to request that you consider making the diving portion of the swimming pool a foot deeper. I just want to, I'm here, I guess, to make sure that it doesn't get burned. As it stands now, the pool, I think, is going to be 11.5 feet deep to accommodate the springboard, the 1 meter springboard you have, to accommodate the 3 meter springboard, which is a high dive, like we used to have. It only has to be a foot deeper. So it would require a little extra digging and about a couple yards of concrete to accommodate the wall. So it wouldn't be that much more expensive, as far as I know that for sure. I don't think it would be that much more expensive.
We have a number.
Huh?
We do have a number for that one.
Okay. And then the other thing was, if you don't do it now, obviously it's never going to happen. Even if we never put a high dive in, at least you'll have the option. You know, if you don't make it deeper now when you're building it, you'll never have the option to do that. And it's a cool feature that no one else has. There isn't one in Pacific, there isn't one in Union. The closest one is in St. Charles at the Trackplex, and that's in the North Pool. So anyway, that's what I would like to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Comments on that, Darren, or anything?
I think we can address it.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? Nobody else in the audience? Dog park? Is on the
Old business, dog park, so just trying, since this is our first meeting in, I guess, several months, due to COVID, dog park is, I'm happy to say it's complete, from where we were this past, or last summer and last fall. Kind of one of the key last pieces was the new signage down there, and so that's been installed. We'll put a landscaping bed around that shortly. And then we aerated and seeded this spring. Grass is coming in nice. I was down there earlier this week, and it actually looks like a park again. All the orange fencing's gone, new parking lots in. Really the only thing left as far as the city needs to do is to stripe that parking lot, and we're working on, there's some other parking lot projects going around, or will be going on here shortly with Public Works, and the plan is to stripe it when we do some of the other parking lots. So, Main Park Playground, as I mentioned earlier, we're hauling rock when we can. That's why that large pile of rock is in the parking lot there at the end of 2nd Street. That goes into the playground. Then we have to compact it all, and then we'll have to pour concrete curbing around each of those pods, and then the rubber will come back in. And so we're doing that. We didn't have it fenced, and up until they started using Ronzik, for the most part, kids had stayed off of the playground, but then with the tournament over Memorial Day weekend and just the sheer volume of people up there, the kids were attracted to the new playground, so we did fence it off, so most people can't use it now. Disc golf, update on that. So in the months that we didn't meet, staff worked real hard to put in a ramp, if you will, or a path up the hill to the top of the landfill from basically disc golf hole number 6 to 9, which is on top there. And so that worked out real well. We did have to work with DNR on how we were doing it. Anytime you cut into the top or side of a landfill, DNR wants to know about it and approve the process. So we did work with engineering on that to get that approved, and making slow progress over there. The plan is when we start pouring concrete at Main Park, that we'll take the concrete crew over to disc golf and start pouring some concrete tee pads over there, and get the first 9 holes with concrete tee pads in. We also did the signage just recently. We have new signage off of International when you enter the park, along with that new landscaping bed that I talked about earlier. And then we also have a smaller sign off of 100. And those signs were donated by Mr. John Berger when he was in town about a year ago, last May, for his high school class reunion. He had stopped by the park and looked around and met with Darren and I and asked if we needed money for anything, and I said sure. And then he was in. And then while he was in town, he's in town for a week or two, I think, we had a conversation on a few things, and we settled on park signage. And that's how we got to the point where we are now. And so if you recall, in one of these meetings before COVID hit, I had I guess it was a sample of what the dog park sign was going to look like, black with the city logo and everything like that. And so that's the plan. That's the marketing or branding plan for the parks going forward. They'll all pretty much be similar variations of that, and we're trying to reuse, so the dog park sign was new, so that one was a little more expensive. The Burger Park sign, we took out an old PVC sign that was there that usually gets mildewy and nasty, and so basically both signs there were new. Some of the other parks have really nice metal frame signs, and they'll be reusable, and so those will be painted, the frames will be painted, and a new insert will be put in. But all the signs will look similar to the disc golf sign and dog park sign. Some of them may have a city logo, some of them may not, depending on signage and how the wording all fits on the sign and if it's symmetrical or not and things like that. So our goal is to have city logos on all of them that we can get it on, so.
Do you want me to discuss about the Lions Club at this point, just so they
Yeah.
are aware of?
Yeah,
So, we've had, as Wayne said, they finished the sign up there at the disc golf course. And as you guys know, the Lions Club and both the Elks and Mr. Berger all made sizable donations or whatever to make that stuff happen. I don't remember, do you have the numbers of what they each?
yeah, the Lions had donated 12,500, Elks 7,500, and then Mr. Berger's was 5,000.
So, we did receive, or Wayne received it, he shared it with me, and then I replied to them. Some of the officers within the Lions Club, did seem to be upset at the fact that their logo was not on the sign. And so, we have asked, I sent out an email asking them exactly, can you give me some idea what you'd like to see on the sign, et cetera. I don't know what we're gonna have, what we can do to necessarily accommodate that, but the point was, I think that what we shared with them is that their logo was gonna be on each hole. There's I don't know, placard, if you will, at each hole.
A whole sign, yeah, with the,
Yeah, and then you've got you've got all those entities, the Elks logo, the Lions logo, et cetera. The cities down there, all at the bottom of each one of those. And so that's where the logos would be shared, et cetera. I think they felt that their logo should be on it. They made some mention that that was something that they thought, or at least was agreed upon with the city. So, I apologize. I had never heard or had any, discussion with them about putting their logo on there. But
I haven't either.
Maybe they had one with Darren Dunkel years ago. I don't know. Wayne had a discussion with them about that. So I did ask them if they could provide us with the rendering of what they'd like, so we can take that into consideration. So I just wanted you to know that, just in case you hear that from any Elks or Lions Club members. I haven't heard anything from the Elks, but it was mainly Lions Club members.
Since Mr. Berger paid for those signs, would he have to give approval?
Well, I don't know that he would necessarily, at the end of the day, the city is the one that,
Yeah.
recognizes what goes on the sign, as far as that goes. But I think we did express that to them, that like I said, Mr. Berger did pay for those signs.
yes.
So, I have not gotten a response back from them with regards to that, so I'll wait to hear. If I don't hear anything in another week, I'll send a follow-up email and ask again, but that's basically, yeah, Mr. Berger paid for those. He made a donation, he's like, what can I make it for? We told him that we were, fixing up the park, that their family, generously donated years ago. So the idea was, let's go ahead and use it towards the sign.
It might be just an assumption on their part, because in the past, when they made donations and that, their name had been displayed,
Right, and I think it's, my gut feeling is the fact that they'd like to be able to drive by and see that logo,
Yeah,
not necessarily wait till you're playing Frisbee golf. and
Right.
see on it.
yeah.
But I had asked, but I just wanted you all to be aware of that, just so you know.
And just a couple key points. Mr. Berger, I asked him, he said he did not want his name on the signs, even donated by or whatever. And then as far as the whole sign, so it's an 18-hole course, so there'll be 18 different signs that would have the Elks logo, the Lions logo, the city logo. And I think it has some wording, if I remember right, it says, this course was made possible by these organizations. And then we'll have a kiosk up there close, if you guys were there for the grand opening last fall, right there, kind of where the picnic tables are. We'll have a kiosk similar to what we have at Miller Post. And on the side facing the parking lot will be a map of the course and the course rules, and then also an area down on that sign that would say, this course was made possible by the Elks Club and the Lions Club with their logos on it too. We just don't have that one. I don't have a draft of that one yet. Yes, sir.
So question, that the
Oh,
Lions
sorry.
and the Elks donated for the disc golf course itself?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, the Lions donation paid for the disc golf baskets, the orange baskets that the Frisbee goes in. And then the Elks paid most of their contribution was specified for concrete work. So.
I mean, is there, is there a way to below the sign?
That's what I'm just waiting for them,
Okay,
just to
all
get, I'd like to rather hear from them first as to what, before we throw some idea back out to them, I'd rather hear from them and say, what is it that we could do?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Cost-wise, are we better off doing more of a central sign with these logos rather than go to the expense of every hole marker?
Well, I mean,
It's been expensive, the whole marker, right?
no, I mean, they're small sign, they're like, kind of like about the size of a no parking sign, but it'll have a picture of each, just like you would at a regular golf course of like if there's any water or any obstacles or anything
Right.
like that.
It's a hazard.
Layout.
Shows you-
Yeah, layout of each hole, yeah.
Right.
With the yardage or the?
Yes,
distance? Yeah.
right.
Okay.
My intention, or my question was, the logos for the Elks and the Lions, rather than go to the expense of having every logo on 18 holes, have a central sign where, you just do it once and you're done.
Oh. Well, we have to have the signs regardless. I mean, we need the signs regardless.
Okay.
And actually, so logos was never brought up by any of the organizations to me, and, I've only been here about a year and a half, but it was actually the disc golf designer who was at the grand opening with the tent and all the discs and everything. He makes these signs or has access to make them, and he approached me and he said, I said, well, what do they look like? And he showed me a draft, and he goes, here, even down here at the bottom, he goes, if you wanted, you can put the Lions Club logo and the Elks. I was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. We need to do that. And so that's how that's the logos that we have on those signs, that's how that came about. Because there was, to me, there was never any mention of logos. And I didn't, until he brought it up, I hadn't really thought about it, so. But that's where we are with disc golf.
I think if it's not really a major cost factor, I like the idea of having the signs at the hazard signs because it gives them recognition because they did make a sizable contribution. And I think it's just our way of saying thank you,
Yep. And then,
Well, as I understand it, you're waiting to see what they want.
I'd like to, and like I said, my gut reaction is the fact that I think they probably want something that the general public drives by. and knows that
You don't
these-
have to go up.
That's right.
Because I'm not gonna see it.
Right. You don't
Yeah.
play, you don't go out there and play, you won't see their
Right.
logo.
If you're gonna, to me, if you're gonna put it on the main sign, then you gotta come up with some kind of standard, a 1-by-1 placard or something.
And
At every park that somebody's donated some money to, you
Exactly.
get this much space to be consistent
We drove
across.
by today at the main park, and he was approaching me about, another sign out there. Well, we've had, Rotary, for example. They gave a sizable donation for the playground that we had that we're replacing right now. And obviously, they've made contributions to Runcic Field as well. And I think there was even, the one, as you pull in off of, you can still see it, it's out there, pull Second Street going west, and you head high, there's a sign right there. And it says Rotary Recreational Conference.
Yep.
And so I was talking with him about that just to see, and then you go on the other side, to the baseball side, and it also says, Rotary something about Brunswick Field. So there's two signs opposite of that. We were just talking about putting up like a directory sign when you got out at the thing, and I don't want to bog down my sign, because you can talk about this all night.
Yeah.
But where the aquatic complex, sign is right there at High and, Circle Drive, you could either replace it there or something and have a directory sign pointing in different directions, because that's usually where most of the traffic comes to enter into the park. And so whether or not you wanted to put Rotary's logo on there, that's a whole other thing. You've got them on the other two signs. And I told them that maybe you could go ahead and keep those so they know that. But, for example, on the main park playground, that was all paid for by the city. We haven't
correct.
So that's all being paid for by the capital improvement sales tax fund. And the other two that are being removed, one was paid by Rotary, the smaller one by Kiwanis.
Oh, Juanis?
Yeah. So, we'll kind of see how we fit. I agree with you, I think there should be some kind of standard, and, so, you know, we'll have to look at that.
Yeah, but, yeah, that opens up a can of worms, right? Because then, okay, what's the minimum amount you gotta give in order to get your fit right on it? That's just an unending
Yeah.
quagmire
Right.
once you get into it. Well, I gave twice as much, my sign should be twice the size. You know, it's-
You're right. Yeah, I get it.
So, anything else on disc golf? Okay. And then finally, on old business, new aquatics facility, I'm keeping that on there each month, just to give you an update on where we are. Some months there'll be more stuff than others, but, and I put I think most of this in that email this morning that I sent you all. City Council approved, this past Monday approved, the Monday before that, they approved going with Westport, but the contract wasn't ready. And then this past Monday, they approved the contract with Westport, so we're set to go there. June 8th, so next Monday, demolition will start. I know Westport was meeting with the contractor today out there. This past Monday, was that the 1st, I guess? Asbestos and lead paint testing was done. And then also related to the pool, just because of timing, like I put in the email this morning, because of the timing of the contract and scheduling and demolition and everything, the Aquatics Facility Committee will get this same presentation this coming Monday on June 8th. So you guys are getting it first, and then they'll get it, and so we'll consider all the comments and then move forward from there. I think that covers everything with the aquatics facility for right now until we get into the presentation, so that's all I have for old business.
And you want to start now with your?
Yeah, let's go ahead for new business. We'll just start with this presentation. So what I have here is most of the pool features that we're considering for the new pool. So that would include the splash pad features, the zero entry features, picture of the slide, picture of the climbing wall or rock wall, climbing wall, and then an overall kind of layout. Hopefully you can see here what we're talking about. So this was just a pretty picture to have up. Let's start with the overall layout of the pool here. And that's this one. Okay. All right. Bear with me here real quick. Okay.
There you go.
So, kind of see, let me see if I can zoom in a little more here. Yeah. So we have the splash pad right there, and zero entry here. So we have some features here, a lot of features here. This is not in the rendering you guys saw on the last presentation, of rather large aquatics feature, play feature there with a slide and a small dumping bucket, a lot of spray features. Like a zero entry tanning area here, large slide here with room for an additional slide later. That's why it's kind of off to the side over here. There, you can't really see it here, but there's a wall seat here where you could do swimming lessons and things in here, and then sit on this wall while the instructor's talking to you. We have a pool lift here. The rock wall, or climbing wall, I should say, was moved from this side of the pool over to here. Diving boards here. The pumps and everything will be in this, which is the existing pool house in the men's side of the existing pool house in the basement there, or in the lower level. Backstroke flags there, backstroke flags there. There's another underwater bench there and a waterfall. Basketball hoop there. There's another bench, I believe, here. Oh, no, it's right there, right there. And then, like I said, the spray pad. And then this is the new pool house here. Let me pull up, we'll start with the splash pad features. Like I said, I don't have any pretty rendering of, I mean, we have the old rendering, but no new rendering of all these changes. So if you have any questions on what I just went over, like moving stuff around and what changed.
I guess one thing I'll just point out, Wayne, is I think by moving that rock climbing wall,
Which
it
is
was
right
also
there.
removed was it called the zip line or whatever that thing?
Yes, yeah, we did delete. There was a zip line. It was kind of like a tree swing type thing, which was over here. We did remove that. We heard I talked to a couple municipalities that have them, and they said it breaks down a lot. It takes an additional guard to guard it. You're supposed to wait until, there was something with, I can't remember exactly what it was now, but the kids don't wait on something, I don't know,
They don't wait on the rope
to come back. And then I think that caused mechanical issues and, yeah.
But that opens up, if I'm correct, that opens up the adult swim lane.
Yes, so you have one whole lane here.
That was a comment that we had after. the
Yeah.
parks.
Now, speaking of the adult swim lane, we got the two boards on
Yes.
the, I guess
Yeah,
that's the
there's-
north end.
Yeah, one right
They're in there
there.
symmetrically, are they not?
Correct.
Yeah.
Could
One's
those be off, moved so they are not symmetrical to open up another exercise
Yeah,
lane?
we had that discussion this morning, there's a minimum distance from the edge of the pool they have to be.
Right.
So they're located pretty much where they have to,
They
so
have-
when the
okay.
swim lanes are open up, one board's gonna have to be shut down.
Okay.
And in the evening, there's just not that many, during the afternoon, obviously the swim lanes aren't gonna be there, you use both boards. If in the evening when the use is slower, you can.
Yeah, I knew there would be critical distances, as
Yeah, we did
far-
ask that question this
That was
afternoon.
discussed today.
Yeah, I had a feeling you guys would ask about that, so.
The other thing I was gonna point out, it's not on this drawing, but the shade structures are still there.
Yes, and I don't have any,
For those of you that didn't,
I-
because we don't have that we are gonna get a pretty rendering after we get that, like the one that we had before. It does take a little bit more work for that, and we asked them for that to go ahead and provide us because we think that's critical as we go forward to the service groups and anybody else that sees it. They know exactly what it is that's gonna be built, and they can, at that point, they can, pony up and say, hey, yeah.
Well, shade structures are there.
This feature, whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Shade structures are on there.
yeah, they're on there, they're hard to see. So the shade structures, there's one there, they're rectangular. I don't know if you can kind of see that rectangular box there. There's one there, there's one there, and then there's one here over the shade, that covers part of the shade.
Switched them to a cantilever type, so they're actually armed and stick out over the pool deck. There's no poles out in the pool deck for people to accidentally run into. Staff will be able to run a Kubota or a Gator or something, get equipment around the pool without having to worry about hitting anything. So it opens that pool deck up quite a bit.
And then there is also, I always forget about this one. It's hard to see too here, but there's like kind of a
Umbrella.
star shape there. It's a circular shade structure there that covers part of the zero entry area. Similar to what we have out at the leisure pool now, one of those like fun umbrella type things. But if you recall in the rendering, there were a lot of like sail type, smaller sail type shade structures. I think there's one or two over here, and there was maybe one there or something there, and a couple other ones. There was a larger number of them, but they were smaller. And then you got posts all over the deck too. So this allows us to have larger ones without necessarily the poles on the deck. So that's a good thing. Is there anything else you want to point out as far as the layout? Yeah, I have pretty pictures for those, so.
But the only thing that's different from the last time too, is the splash pad has increased in size
Yeah.
substantially, so.
Now, does that footprint sit into the existing footprint where there's very little, if any, excavation on that north hill?
Yes.
From the north, yeah.
Yeah, that wall on the north side is the existing wall. It's
That's the same wall that we have right there right now. So they're not going,
Don't have to do anything.
they're not going towards the auditorium.
While we're on that, we talked last time about watching swim meets. That'd be a good spot to put some bleachers up there on that hill.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah. And we have a few benches up there now. I think there's like 3 or 4 benches up there now. And then I guess what we didn't talk about, and it wasn't in the project really, is we're working with John Nilgis, the Public Works Director, and there's going to be some street improvements over here on Circle Drive and sidewalk improvements. And we're going to address this hill, that rocked hill. It's going to be, the grade's going to be cut down, and it'll probably be grass where we can mow it. It should be less of a maintenance issue. There will be a retaining wall, and it'll vary in length. It gets higher as you go towards the existing pool house here. I believe he said it'd be, I think at the tallest point, which would be right here towards the corner, about 8 feet tall. But that's what those cantilever shade structures, the piers will go into that wall and then overhang the pool deck. We'll also have some lighting on top of that wall at various spots. And when I say lighting, it'll be enough lighting for like a swim meet. It won't be the standalone poles that we have now scattered throughout the pool deck. We'll have a few, what I envision, a few like large floodlights on this wall that will put enough light on the deck to finish a swim meet, because it stays, in the summertime, it stays light for a fairly long time. There'll be underwater swim lights in the pool, so there won't be an issue for safety as far as swimming. It'll just be the light on the deck. And so we'll address that. We could put a light on the old pool house that shines that way, and then we'll have a couple of them shining towards the auditorium. So we won't have lights shining in people's backyards or anything like that. All the lighting, really for the most part, should be towards the auditorium. But also within that project then, John's doing some sidewalk work over in the neighborhoods across the way. Yeah.
Around
And
Fair Street.
Esther,
He's even looking at, we're even continuing that sidewalk then to go through that park that's on the south side that gets very little use.
Echo Camp Park,
Yeah, what's it? Sorry.
Echo Camp Park.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know.
I didn't know what the name is either.
Yeah, there's no sign there.
If you told me to meet you at Echo Camp Park, I'd be like, what? But anyway.
Now you know.
Now I know. The sidewalk would go through there though, so the kids have got a free path to go ahead, or, that's for that whole neighborhood, then they can go ahead and walk over there. The other thing I would just add that Wayne's talking about with the retaining wall and a 3-to-1 slope with the grass, make it more easily to
Yeah.
cut. The sidewalk would be then on the north side of Circle Drive, so that there is parking, that overflow parking that people need to still park in the front where they always did. You've got that
Yeah,
sidewalk that you
so
can safely walk
that's
down to go ahead
right
and
here.
get back into the entrance. And the other part is, those improvements will not be taken out of your pool budget. That'll be taken out of the transportation fund, because it's all improvements to sidewalk and stuff like that in regards to that. So we can manage it that way, and then that way we don't eat into the pool budget.
And
Is there a capacity number on this pool?
we're still working on, with all the tweaks and everything, that changes it from time to
Eventually there
time.
will
But
be.
yeah, there will be, they'll have a recommendation.
Pre-COVID or post-COVID?
Yeah.
What's that? What's
Is
that?
it pre-COVID or post-COVID?
Well, that's what made me think about it.
So there will be, connecting that neighborhood over there, was it Fair and Esther? It'll run across that little green area, Echo Camp Park. There used to be a playground there, I think, back in the day, which is long gone. But it'll run across that green area, and then we'll kind of meet up down here at the splash pad. So there's an entrance here to the splash pad that will be, splash pad will be open like in May and run through September, October, so longer than the pool. And when the pool is closed, this is how you'll enter the splash pad areas right here. So that sidewalk will connect, run across that green space, and then there'll be like a crossing here across the street, and you'll connect right there. And then if the pool's open, you go down here to pay your admission and come in that way. If the pool's not open, you want to use a splash pad, you just come in this way.
And the bathrooms will still be open for the
Yeah,
seniors, maybe?
the bathrooms are right here, and so if you were in the splash pad and you needed to use the restroom, you just walk out this gate and walk in that gate, and there's a family change or gender neutral bathroom there and one right there.
Now, will that be open off-season?
Yes. Not year-round, but when the splash pad
Right,
is open,
right.
yes. Any other questions on layout, features? Okay.
They're just a standard crosswalk across Circle Drive from Echo Camp Park?
Yeah, that'll be a John, I would assume, yeah, I mean, that's out of my realm.
The appropriate sign.
Yeah, out of my realm.
The sidewalk is, though it takes, well, he's pulling up the next slide, that goes, the length of Fair Street, all the way from.
Oh,
Other
sorry.
than you get to the cul-de-sac, I can't remember what the name of that street, goes over and connects to James, but,
Edith?
and I might be, but just where Fair Street goes back into that cul-de-sac, that's not gonna have the sidewalk, but from that point going west, we'll have sidewalk, and that's gonna be done this summer, yeah.
This is just a, kind of a picture, group picture, I guess you'd say, because my other documents, it's a single document per feature. So this is a group picture of all the features that will be in the splash pad. So this is, you got the splash pad here, kind of the layout here, if you can see it. And then all these features are in the splash pad here. And then this blue area here, this kind of peanut-shaped blue area here is what they call a life floor. So it's like the foam padded flooring, non-slip flooring, in case a little kid would fall down or whatever, slip. They shouldn't be slipping because it's slip-proof or slip-resistant, I guess. But just a nice soft cushioning for, like you see, this little child here playing, sitting on the ground playing, instead of just brushed concrete. And so, let me show you the whole here, and then for each of these features list or shown here, we'll go through each one here, but just scrolling down, that's kind of what the bottom ones look like there. And let me pull up. So the first one, and I can tell you how many of these we have. So this is a directional jet, and there will be two within the splash pad, that peanut-shaped area I showed you a while ago. There'll be two of these directional, and they shoot just water in one direction. Very similar to what we have in our little splash pad now. And then next we have the wave, which is similar, but it shoots more of a wider pattern of water. And there are two of those in there. Let's see, shoots, and it's more of an angle that it shoots water that way. Next we have the Luna number 1. So we get to something with a little color here. Where's it at? And so there's one of these in the splash pad, and so the kids run through it, or can run through it, walk through it, and you got various streams of water shooting water at you. And then the color choices, just because it shows this color here now, there'll be later on in the process, colors will be chosen for not only splash pad, but a lot of other stuff in the pool. And the next we have, I think it's Hilo number 1. And so we have one of these in the splash pad, and it's kind of a ball that kind of shoots streaming water out of the top. You can kind of see down here how kids might use it, kind of touch it and play around with it. And next is a jet stream. And there's 6 of these little jet stream bubblers in the splash pad, kind of for smaller kids. And, you know, kids will put their hand on them and try to block the water, put their foot on them, and then they'll get sprayed in the face. And you can kind of see the little shadow. I guess they kind of show you how it's intended to be used. And then finally, we have the Elo Nano, and we have one of these. It's kind of reminds me of like a palm tree looking thing that sprays water down on the kids. And let's see what the shadows look like. So you can kind of see here, you can't really see the streams of water, but on my slide you can see streams of water. The kids would stand under it and get sprayed. And so that's the splash pad. Any questions about any of the features or anything? So a little, what they had originally in the splash pad in the RFP, in the rendering that you guys saw in the first meeting, Darren and I, when we met with the designer, hopefully he didn't take offense, but I told him, I was like, what you're proposing what you have in the RFP is not a whole lot different than what we already have. And so we were looking for something a little more substantial, and I think you guys have seen that what we have here. Now there are a few of those little jet streams that are similar to what we have now, but like this feature we have pulled up now is, I mean, we don't have anything like that in the spray pad now. So now this was an upgrade of $20,000+ over what we had in the RFP. So there has been some tweaking done over the.
Do you have that list? Do you have that?
I can pull it up. I didn't.
So, I mean, just so they can see that at the end with all the differences.
Yeah.
There were additions and subtractions, so it was kind of a, we give here, they give, we changed a few
We'll
things.
get to the thing, because that was part of it too, in the discussion.
Okay.
What's the estimated capacity for the splash pad at any given time? Is there one?
Oh, I don't know. That's
1,600 square feet?
Yes.
no
No.
splash pad. It's
1,100 originally.
It's no. It's 666
It's
square
feet. 400 originally, I think, right?
feet. Yeah, it was 400 and something originally.
The outside.
I think it's fenced area or something.
I was going to say 1,600, that's pretty big.
The fence in, I guess, is like I said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chairs and all that stuff.
Hang on, I lost my folder here.
Kind of reminds me a little bit, at Silver Dollar City, they had a splash pad thing down there.
There's some really interesting conversations as we went through this back and forth with the design team, and I think we've come up with some pretty good ideas. For example, you're asking about seating and stuff at a competition pool. We moved those slide pool, plunge pool stuff a little bit further to the west, and now you can have seating in between those two along both sides of the pool. So there were some, just a back and forth with the design team to come up with some ideas that we thought were ultimately improvements. And a lot of that is no cost, so let's just move this over here a little bit.
Another plus for the design build?
Benefit of it, yeah.
So next, we're in the zero entry area there. So these would be features you would see when you walk out of the pool house after you paid your fee. The bathrooms would be on your right, and then straight ahead you would see some of these features. And so we have this feature here. It's called Aqua Arch, and I believe there are 3 of these in that zero entry area when you walk into the pool.
And what is that besides a red disc?
Yeah, you can't see it. You gotta look real close. Yeah, because the lighting in here.
Picture that's there to the right.
So you can barely see it.
Impress me, guys.
It's shooting a
Looks like
stream of
UFO.
water, like an arch stream of water. So not real high, but it is shooting. Looks better on my slide here
Okay.
than what you guys can see. So nothing, similar to what we have in our splash pad now. And then next, we have, he's called Dalton the Dolphin. And so you can see him here. And so he would be mounted to the ground in that zero entry area there, and he just shoots water up. Next, we have Larry the Lobster. And he's similar, mounted to the surface there in the zero entry. And he sprays several streams of water.
And these can all be climbed on.
Yeah, you can, like, kind of shows a girl, she's kind of standing over it right now, right there, if you can see it. You could probably sit on it, it's hard plastic.
Well, they're going to.
Yeah. Next, we have, it's called Pop Drop. And there are I believe two of these in there. Can't really see the stream of water, so similar to what we have at this splash pad now at our current pool. There's two of these, shoots water up. Just another feature where mom might be able to sit on the zero entry beach there with her toddler, and the toddler could, try to block the water or get sprayed in the face or whatever. And then next, finally, we have it's called Underbrella. So it's like a kind of a umbrella or a mushroom looking thing that sprays water down on you. And so I've been at other pools, worked at other places that had these, and kids like to stand under them. If you stand, I think, directly under the mushroom part of it, you're dry, but if you take, just one step this way or one step that way, you get a steady stream of water. And I believe that's about 9 feet tall. So, yeah, you can kind of see the girl there standing under it. So that's the zero entry features, and then just closed out it again, sorry. The biggest feature of the zero entry will be the aquatic play feature, which is new. You guys haven't seen that yet. And that was added recently to the design.
So while he's pulling that up, I guess the original one that you saw, there was very little with regards to features when you walked into that zero entry, other than the ones he just went over that the beach is right there to the right. And so we initially talked and said, we gotta have something in there. And I came back with a feature that was, I don't remember.
A little slide.
I don't think, did it have a slide on it?
The other,
Sea turtle one?
Oh, it was a little slide.
oh yeah, sea turtle thing. It did have that's what it was. It was a slide, a little stream of water.
Yeah, but it was about a $41,000 feature. Yeah. And it was not, well, when you see the prices at the end, you just don't get.
But that include, I mean, yeah.
You think that's it?
I said the same thing initially. I kind of thought when we took the AquaZip, that tree swing thing out, that was, at one point he had told me $20,000. And then the next day, we inserted this turtle slide right in the zero entry where this will be. And I just assumed they were about the same price, like $20,000, but the turtle was $40,000, because he said you got to figure plumbing in, piping and all that stuff for the feature. So there's a couple different views of this. I was hoping to get some better slides. These are all 3D views of this. Let me see if I can zoom in here a little bit. And so it does have a very small tipping bucket right there, and then some other spray features here that would dump water on you. Scroll down. Yeah, the slide, obviously, which I think it was Betty brought it up in this meeting last time, and in the aquatics facility committee meeting. I think Chris Eckelkamp brought it up. Yeah, in the RFP, in the rendering that was released to the media, there was no play feature in this area, and there was also no slide for the little kids either. And so now this, we started off with that little turtle slide we were just telling you about, and then we kind of evolved to this, and you'll see the price difference in a little bit. And so there's some platforms on here. Kids can kind of, walk up here, stand around, water dumped on them by these other play features I showed you a while ago, go down the slide.
There's that white thing to the left, is that a tube slide?
Uh, Where, this thing?
Yeah.
It's just
No, that's like a,
netting or whatever.
yeah, like a barrier to keep you from falling off of it.
Oh, okay.
And like I said, I got some other views here. Here's a different view. So you can kind of see on that platform there, here, this octagon shaped thing, there's like this clear plexiglass around it, like there, and that's what you kind of see over here.
How tall is that, the slide?
I'll have to find out. I believe it's 5 to 6 feet, but I'm not positive.
I was gonna guess 6.
6, okay.
Let me write that down. Tall. And, okay. Then different view here, from top, I guess. And that's it.
Is that little bucket, I guess, that you got right?
Right there on the left.
Yeah, that's that little bucket that dumps water on you there. And then this is another little play feature here where they can kind of splash around in some of the water, kind of like
How big a bucket is that?
Almost like a waiter.
it's pretty small. It kind of reminds me of one of those sandcastle buckets. Because they gave us 2 options. And so this is technically the option without a tipping bucket. So the other option had a huge tipping bucket, but you pay quite a bit more for that. So
You'll see the huge price.
yeah, it was about $25,000.
Just dumps a load of cash on you when you.
You would hope.
It wasn't only the bucket.
But our main issue that we solved was the slide portion of it, and so this covers the slide portion of it and gets us something, kind of a wow factor when you walk through the breezeway. You see the little spray features at the beginning of the 0 entry depth, but your eye would really be drawn to this and the water shooting out of it and everything like that.
Trying to be comparable to the one that you've got in Glacier Bowl now. I mean, I guess as far as.
Yeah, fairly similar, yeah. Just this would have a slide, so. Any questions about that feature? Okay. Let's see what else we have for you here. Okay, here is the climbing wall. Just an example of what we're looking at now. I need to get a little more clarification on this. He sent me some paperwork on this evening, or this afternoon. And so I don't know if you look here on this one, and he sent a couple different examples, pictures, and I'm only showing you this one. We requested to have a colored wall. They make them clear like this, but we talked to some people and did a little research. I guess could be issues with people standing behind that wall when a young lady might be climbing up the wall. And so we solved that issue by having a solid colored wall. So that's why I chose this picture. Now, there are different options here. So this is really a 2-panel wall. I got to get a little more clarification on what is included in the RFP. I have a feeling it was probably a 1-panel wall. So on a 1-panel wall, you would just basically, you see the dividers here, it would be divided in half. So you'd have less, it wouldn't be as wide, I guess you'd say.
I think their picture shows, it looks like 2 separate,
Does it? I couldn't, okay.
yeah.
And then I think it also there's also how high you can go. So like this is a block, that's a block, this is a 4 block. And so I saw in their paperwork, they go anywhere from I think 3 blocks to 5 blocks. And so that determines how tall it is out of the water. So you got 1 block here, 2, 3, or you could have 4, or you could even have another one up here, I think, from what I was reading. So
I think if you look at it from the side, it actually arches back out over the pool.
it does kind of curve over
The
the pool.
higher you get, you're getting more out over the water.
Yeah, so you're staying away from the
Pool deck.
pool deck here, so.
And does that prevent then, if somebody's really athletic what happens if they make it all the way to the top and, you know, try to climb over to the other side?
Well, it's curved. I don't believe, you know, it kind of does that. So I don't think there's an issue. I haven't heard any negative feedback about these. I can ask about that. I don't envision that happening. The goal is if you can make it to the top, you get to the top, and then part of the thrill is falling back into the pool.
How deep is that water?
Where they have it in the pool, that's to the deeper end,
That's
so
where
the
the
diving well is, so it's 12,
So it's 12 feet.
13 feet there in that area.
My thinking of that, also thinking of being an insurance man about liability end of it, if you have kids that are climbing up here, is somebody monitoring the kids in the pool behind them? Because if they fall backwards, they can fall into another kid.
I think that's where you have a lifeguard over there, and you've got, that was on, if you can go back to the rendering, or, I'm not asking Wayne, but if you can think back to it, it's on the, you've got the competition pool, and it's on the, that would be the west side is where that's located. And I can think they've got a lifeguard station there anyway for the diving boards and this, so you've got, you're covering, I think, I don't know that they're both covered, but I know it's in close proximity, so that they
Yeah.
can go ahead and have that covered.
Okay.
Yeah, there would be should be a lifeguard in that area there. We will get a lifeguard plan when all this stuff is, when everything's determined, then we'll get a lifeguard plan on where the lifeguards will be stationed around these things. Okay. Then, let's see here. Oh, and then a picture of the slide. So this is the same slide that was in the rendering, except it has this picture shows the second slide added. So the slide that we're getting in the rendering is a 22-foot red slide pictured here. And so that's this slide here. This yellow slide that you see everywhere, that would be the additional second slide that we could add in the future. And that's why, so this gray, in this little image here, the red slide is really this gray area here, this circle-y one here, and it comes out right there. That's why earlier when I was showing you a layout of the pool, that's why it's pushed over to this side of the plunge pool. So you can have, if you do add the additional slide in the future, it comes out right next to it, and then they're evenly spaced. And you can kind of see them there, where just envision that as the plunge pool there then. And so it is 22 feet, I believe, which is higher than our existing slide. Our existing slide, I believe, Westport told me it was 15, but I believe I saw somewhere that it was 20. So regardless, this will be higher than our existing slide.
And Wayne, these are all open slides, right? There's no closed tubes or anything.
Right.
The one on the left that he's showing that we're getting,
Yeah.
as part of it, is open.
This is all
The
open.
yellow one is
You can kind of see it there, it's
Is it
open.
closed? Okay,
The yellow one, yeah, is closed.
okay.
So just a question that, you can add another slide. Do you know if it's going to be set up that the, I'm gonna say it wrong, the plumbing side of it is going to be in there
Yes.
already?
The piers and the plumbing and the bracing for it, it's all being added now.
Just a word of caution, make sure, because that happened at the Edward Jones pool, and they did not set it up that it was separate. And there's one slide, and the water pressure is so high, and we can't adjust that.
Yeah.
So you're saying they didn't add, when they may have added all
When
the,
the pool was built, it was built to add a second slide. It's, I mean, all the piers are in
Okay.
there, everything, but the
the plumbing wasn't.
it's, now the one slide that they have gets all the plumbing.
It gets all the water.
It's getting
It's
all the water.
all-
It's getting the water for 2 slides.
Gotcha.
And it is so loud and it breaks down all the time because it's not meant to handle that. And Westport did that pool, I'm just saying,
There we go, see?
just check it out.
Lesson learned.
Make sure that if it's there, it is a totally separate,
Okay.
Okay,
It-
good point, yeah, that's good to know. All right, Kevin will help me remember
Good
that.
point.
All right, so any more questions on the slides? Okay, and I think we covered everything except the money. So let me,
That's the most important.
Oh,
Let's
that's
go.
the,
let me
You don't care.
find that.
Monday.
Yeah, you don't care.
Add some more.
He's taking that out of the property.
yeah.
Like Kevin was saying, there's a lot of back and forth between the other ones. So we did ask, while he's pulling that up, Kathy, we did ask, on the high dive, we got a price for the total package with the high dive. And then we also got the package for just, I think did he update this just to give you the information on just the extra dig information?
Yes.
On this.
I just gotta find it. It might still be in my email.
So
Oh, here.
we asked for all of those, so you'll see the pluses and minuses now that Kevin was referring to earlier.
Um,
Are you considering it, or is it totally go with it?
Well, we can consider the extra dig. I was like you, Kathy, in the sense of I thought, oh, what's the big deal, guys, sits out there, digs a couple more times or whatever, how much is that gonna cost? And since, now that you mentioned it, it was $19,000 for the whole package for the 3-meter dive. And then it was $8,000 just to do the extra dig.
The extra foot, yeah.
So-
Did they tell you what that included? I mean, like,
I'll refer to you if you remember all his notes, what he said, and what all is included with that.
You got,
That's the extra.
yeah, you got extra excavation, you got the extra concrete, extra rebar. I think your
Extra
pump
piping.
had to be a little bigger for the pool, but the piping was the
Yeah,
same.
you got more volume of water, the pumps had to be a little bit bigger.
So it's just kind of, he says, just kind of incremental costs on a number of things. It wasn't a single
8,000?
8,000.
8,000.
compared to all those.
8,000.
Correct.
Yes.
That's
Wait till you see
nothing.
the rest of this. Oh, I know, and that's something we can talk about, but
I mean, I didn't-
let's show you the bottom line.
All right.
And like I said, and then, and while he's pulling that up, I will tell you, so, again, we had, initially we had 3.8 million left, okay? Actually, 3.775 or something like that. We used $25,000 on the survey. We had 4 million total.
Mm-hmm.
So we used that, we had the owner's rep contract, which was 200,000, I'm gonna give you round numbers. And then, so we're left with 3.8. We told them that during the process, when they were doing I guess before they gave us the proposals, we said just round it up to 4. And the reason why I did that, or the reason why we made that call was, we had, as we said, a $100,000 gift from Anita Yeager Trust, that was for anything that the Parks Department wanted to do. There was no stipulations, saying we don't want it on a sign, we don't want it on a, whatever, you use it however you want to use it. So we felt, what's the best way to use that other than extra features and whatever we can do for it. So, and then we also, the other 100,000 to make that up, we'll just have to go ahead and look at the capital improvement sales tax and other projects that we've got over 8 years. And first one we'll probably pick on is the Parks Department, their storage shed that they want to, how much we've set aside for that. So, I mean, that's always easy to target. But anyway, then there's other projects. We'll see that we've got savings. There's some, some projects cost a little bit more than what they initially thought they would be, et cetera. And then on top of it, what he's gonna show you is eventually is we'd like to go with that middle feature that you've got. It's probably the biggest upgrade out
Yep.
of all of them. And that's $145,000. So if you wanted the big bucket, that was an additional 25 or 30,000, something like 150 something.
Gee.
Yeah. So that's why you got the small bucket. And then we took, and as we said earlier, we took the rope swing thing that was taken off. I'm trying to remember some of the other deducts that we got. Do you remember?
We changed some of the filtering system or something we did.
Yes,
We
there was
used.
a little bit in operations cost, that was something on the filtration system that we wanted. Long story short, I think we're at 4.1, 12. Is that about right, Wayne?
Yes. Yeah, it's like one, yeah. 120.
Now, that does not include if we do the $8,000 to go ahead on the thing, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So if you wanted to go ahead and add that, so that you, and I agree with Kathy in the sense of if you ever want to add that, you're never
You
going to be able to add it.
cannot build a wall and redig it, you can't do that.
I agree. So if you wanted to do that, that would be, just give me 1, 2, I think you're looking at 4.13, probably, is what you'd be looking at. And the extra $130,000, we would look at to go ahead and take that out of, like I said, the other capital improvement sales tax, either savings from other projects,
Right.
or we just cut those other projects a little bit short.
Right.
I will remind everyone, this is the flagship project of the
Yep.
entire capital improvement sales
Yep.
tax. So, we reminded the council of that the other night when there was a question asked about, sales tax, et cetera, and how that's coming in with the city. So far, we're still doing okay. We're hitting our marks and what we had said. We were very conservative in the beginning on how much we thought we would get, over the eight years. So, and we're hitting those marks or exceeding them, I guess I should say. So we feel like we still got that, and that's fine. We reminded them that this is the major project that, what the voters, went to the polls for. So, that's why we feel we can, I always thought in the back of my mind, we were probably gonna have to come to the council and say, hey, we're gonna need about an extra $100,000 to go ahead if you want this feature over that. And I think the biggest difference that you're gonna have is this main feature that you see, as Wayne said, when you walk into that zero entry. You can have basically very little, which is what they gave us in the rendering initially,
Right.
get right in at 4 million, or you can add on 40,000 with whatever the
Turtle slide?
sea turtle or whatever, or you can have the other.
Yeah.
And but that, to me, you walk in, that's the thing you're gonna see when you walk in
Part of
is,
your wow factor.
that's the wow.
Yeah, that's
Well,
gonna,
and, not only the wow factor, but the kids are gonna love
that's
it.
gonna pull families back to the pool big
Yeah.
time. I mean,
Well, and that's why I think we've looked at it as trying to hit every demographic of people that
Yep.
come to the pool.
Yep.
I mean, we feel that we truly tried to cover that, you've got the teenagers with the diving boards and the slide,
Climbing
the
wall.
slides, you've got the climbing wall, you've got all the little kids with everything from the splash pad to that zero entry portion. You got something there for the moms to go ahead, be there, or the dads to go ahead while they're watching the little ones. You've got an area for the swimming lessons, you got an area
Yep.
for aquatherapy.
well, and you've extended the length of water time in the city
Yeah.
with that splash pad.
Right.
I mean,
So those are all, things I think that, like I said, Westport's been pretty good to work with on this. I mean, we've been very happy with
Yeah,
this.
they've been very receptive to discussions.
Yeah. We did, I will tell you this, we did even look at taking the slide that was out there in the leisure pool, that one for the, most of the parents going out to the
Yep.
ones.
Little, yeah, family type slide.
Okay.
Family slide thing.
Took me a while to get there, but I found it.
Oh, there's it. Anyway, but even adding that over there next to that other, large slide,
Flume, yeah.
and it just did not work very well. It just did not fit very well.
right.
If you guys,
Is that 4,115,000?
Any other donations?
yes.
No, so there's other donations that you can actually go to, and we can go ahead and ask them. And again, I wanna make sure it's very clear, those improvements along Circle Drive, all that, will be taken out of the
Okay, so-
transportation sales tax. This is all just towards the pool. Can you zoom in that a little bit more?
Yeah.
That's what, when you talk about the high dive though, $8,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but it's $25,000 to get from the feature we got to the next upgrades.
right.
That gets you a third of the way. The other big thing, my concern with the high dive was, and I went off the high dive when I was little too, so it was there. It's not that we're adding a high dive, we're taking one of the low dives out, right? So
Right.
when that pool's open, those two low dives are pretty heavily utilized. So now when you put in a high dive, you got all those people that don't want to go off the high dive using one diving board, that's gonna be a pretty good line of kids trying to use that. So
And just so
think.
everybody understands too, the insurance is not a factor. If we
It's
go,
the
I
same.
don't want that to be, it's the same, as long as.
It's the
we take it
same with
up.
the city's insurance, but we would pay more for lifeguard, because
That would be-
the lifeguard, their insurance company would raise their premium, and they would pass that on to us.
To have the high dive.
So when you have when you have your operating.
So the high dive's actually gonna replace a low dive.
Yes.
That was
Yeah,
what you would have.
there's not room for a third
There's not
dive.
room for a third one.
No, but if you don't dig it now, you can't put it in.
Right.
If you never put the high dive in,
Right.
you know, just, that's fine. If you don't do it now, you won't have to do it. Even if you don't, like I said.
And we had that discussion. I mean, 10 years from now, all the dive teams might have a high dive team or something.
Yeah,
That's,
Right,
you don't know, yeah.
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 So you can see here, we'll go through this. Darren, help me out. Kevin, help me out over here. We took out the AquaZip tree swing thing and got a credit there. We took out their, like I said, triangular sail-looking shade structures that were all over the pool deck. We got a credit there. Then we added in what we wanted, the cantilever shade designs, and so that was.
That was actually cheaper, yeah.
Yeah, so that was 29 then. We saved some money by, with the cantilever shade structures, with putting the piers in the wall that John is gonna do with his transportation plan. We got a $5,000 credit there. We made the spray pad bigger, so Kevin mentioned earlier, went from like 450-ish to 666 square feet. And so there was an additional cost there. In addition, we thought the underwater benches, that was not in the original RFP. They added 3 of those in the pool, so 1 in the plunge pool, 1 over by the zero entry, and then 1 by the south hill. So 3,000 there, additional 3. As I mentioned earlier, when we were going over the spray pad or splash pad features, what was in RFP was very simple, very similar to what we have now. To get what I showed you tonight was $20,000 extra. And then the large play feature that's in the zero entry with the, you know, as it says, without the tipping bucket there, Bob, but there is really a tipping bucket, a very small one. That was an additional $124,000. So then as we scroll down here,
Get dried up before it gets hot, it'll dry up to the ground.
then some additional revisions. We wanted to have an access gate for maintenance if we ever need to get on the pool deck with a truck or a tractor or any other piece of equipment. So there's an access gate over by the splash pad that comes off Circle Drive. That was additional $1,300. There's in each locker room there's a shower in each family changing room, right? Just one shower, right?
Family rooms have showers, the main restrooms do not have any kind of shower in them. So we thought we wanted just a deck shower. On the deck, you pull the handle, washes the chlorine off you, you dry off, and you can go.
Right.
So that gives you an additional feature on the pool deck, and it's over by the concession stand area. And then we eliminated the swimsuit dryers. That saved us a little money. And so you see where we're at there. And then the alternate that he came up with after I asked him to look into this Monday night after the city council meeting, to provide, to dig the pool deeper for a 3-meter diving board was $8,000. And so that's where we're at then. So then let me scroll over here. So 4115. Yeah.
And that doesn't include the 8, that 4115.
Correct, it does not. And it also does not include anything, like we talked about addressing that south hill, where the rocked hill would become grass, cutting down the grade there, the sidewalk, that's all out of a different project, so. I think Darren said that money, he told you guys it does not come out of the pool money, so.
So I guess what we need from tonight is a recommendation on a final design so that these guys can move forward and start ordering everything
Yeah.
so that they can go ahead. As Wayne said, they're gonna start demolition next week. And so they just wanna know what is the final design that you want. And so, starts here tonight, and then, like we said, it had to be a little bit out of order just due to the timing of everything. But we'll have the aquatics committee take a look at these changes, Monday, and
make a motion, I love it, but include the 8,000. Yeah.
I have a question before we
So
finish
the
our vote
motion
on
on the
that.
floor is accepted to
have we-
include the
Have we
additional
decided
depth?
on the high dive?
Well, what we're deciding by what the motion was to dig it deep enough so you can add it later.
Okay,
The dive itself will be there, but it'll be at a depth where you can add it later.
I got you. Okay, thank you.
So Kathy can get out there and start raising money.
So there's a-
I got a chairman of a committee right there.
There you go.
So there's a motion on the floor and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So be it. So we would be, the park board is going to recommend what you have plus the additional
Well, the-
8,000.
Go ahead.
You're volunteering to pay the 8,000?
Thanks, Gavin.
I'm volunteering to ask a question.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Is there anything as far as, recycling, that'll come out of there in the demo?
I think they have got that included in their bid. They do have, I guess, some.
we received a credit during the RFP process.
It's lower than you think it would be.
Was it 3,500?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like three, yeah.
3,500 for all that stainless steel.
Wow.
Yep.
Well,
That was
all those markets are just gone.
Yeah. The other things, we have, just so you know too, Wade's crews have been taking stuff that, they can
Oh,
go
yeah.
ahead and salvage and take out. New Haven is going through a problem with their pool. And so they are looking at having to update it. And so we have offered to see if they have any, I think we sent an email with pictures of all the different entities that they could be salvaged if they want to, if they've got some interest in it. And then that way it can save them costs on
Right.
redoing their pool if they wanted that. I don't know, they may want absolutely nothing, they may want all, we're gonna keep as much of the stuff as, like I said, that we can.
So it'll be carefully dismantled.
Yeah, it's already taken place. Everything that we want to keep or have the potential of selling has been taken out of there. So the only thing is there's a couple, we're taking the light poles down, and I think there's one or two left on the deck right now that we got to get out of there. But other than that, 98% of the stuff that we're keeping is already out.
Everyone is out. I think people will be happy to see demolition starting because
Yes.
they're not
See progress.
happy that there's no pool this summer.
It makes it look a lot better than.
And, and they say, oh yeah, you say it's gonna go faster, but.
Well, and that was part of this team too, that we chose due to the fact that they're aggressive schedule. The others were not as quite as aggressive. I think they thought that they were gonna take longer either to get permits or I don't know what exactly their
Oh,
thought process.
the team that won, I think, was much further along in their design. I mean, they're building, which I think they've used before, or they had their design, they've probably modified a few times in some other projects. They were ready to go when the pool house and stuff was already sitting there largely,
Yeah,
so.
if you were to go and look at what this pool house is gonna look like, go to Olson.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty
Oh,
much.
really?
That's the
Yeah.
same, because they built
Similar.
theirs, that's kind of the same design, you got the breezeway,
Yep.
restrooms, concession stands, et cetera. I guess it may be a little bit bigger, I don't know what Owensville's
Yeah, I don't know either.
building is, but I mean, if you wanna see the same concept, that's what it is.
Okay.
And then I know Westport today, he was bragging on the staff, the administration staff that's been involved with this. I mean, they have a real tight schedule, and we've been very diligent about getting them answers and questions and making decisions relatively quickly, and so that keeps them on schedule too. So moving along, like I had 2 different meetings today about the pool, a couple hour meetings here and there, so it's moving along quickly. But
The silver lining of the COVID.
That's right.
Do they expect that
But-
to cause any problems with shipments of parts with everything?
they haven't said anything yet about it.
I'd like to think 8 months out, we'd be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Any other
All right,
questions?
any other questions on the pool? We got a few other things on new business. You want to go through those quickly? or-
Yeah, I'll go through these real quickly. Like I said, some of this stuff I think I sent a few emails out while we were not meeting. I think when the reminder would come up on my email that we were supposed to have a meeting. I think I sent out a reminder, just kind of giving you a brief update of what the staff has been doing. And so the first one on new business is COVID-19 operations. I think I did send out an email about this one, that we were operating out. We had our crew. I split the crews in half, and we had half operating out of the shop in Hillerman Park, just like they normally would, and then the other half operating out of the auditorium, the lower level of the auditorium. And they had their own equipment over there. They had their own break area. Really, they had a room like this size set up, and they all had their individual tables set out over there where they ate lunch and were separated. And then each employee had their own truck to drive, and then their own piece of equipment. They wiped it down and everything. And we still had all our projects going on, and so we still have a lot to do, and we had a lot to do during that time. And they were also working, so the two crews were split up. They were working 4 10-hour days during that time. And so we just went back to our regular shift of 8 hours a day this week, starting Monday. And then they went back to operating out of the park shop the week before, the holiday week of Labor Day, or Memorial Day. Next, I wanted to make you guys aware of Washington Bloom for this coming year. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic has been canceled, so there's no awards going on anywhere in the country. And then if there's no awards going on, there was no reason to have the symposium, because most of the symposium was revolved around the awards. And so, as you guys know, Washington and St. Louis were supposed to host this symposium this year. And so the organizers we had to take a Zoom call, and they were very disappointed that they had to cancel the symposium. But they cannot award us the symposium in 21, but they can in 22. And the reason is they already had signed a contract with the city and the hotel and things, which I think it's in 21 is in South Carolina, I think. And then they'll be back to St. Louis and Washington in 2022. So all our planning is not in vain, and it just gives us an extra year to go ahead and plan and make some improvements around the city. So programs, while this is going on, a lot of our programs have been canceled, like softball leagues and day camp, as you guys know. But we do have a few going on, kind of just kicking off this month. The first one is, we started, Yard of the Month began in May, which is really a Washington and Bloom program, but I just wanted to make you guys aware of it. And then the first, Parks and Rec program, I guess you can call it a program, it's more of an awareness campaign, is the National Trails Day, June 6th. If you're friends of the Parks Department on Facebook, you will have seen a flyer that came out, and we just want, like I said, it's an awareness program to get people out on the trails. Take a picture while you're out on the trails, post it to our Facebook page, tag us in it. That way we get to see what you're out doing while you're on our trails. So, next one is another kind of awareness thing. It's Family Fitness Day, June 13th. Same thing, get out, exercise in our parks, get out in the trails. Post your picture on our Facebook page, tag us in it so we can see that you're out exercising. Granted, during this pandemic, there's been a lot of people out exercising, so this was planned well before that, before COVID came out, and it's just as important now as it was, prior to COVID. So next, we're looking for some volunteers for this one too, and I know in the past, or at least last year, some of you guys helped out. The downtown cleanup is scheduled for June 20th, and so I've been working with Tyler from downtown on a list of projects that can be done, mainly in the downtown area. So we can use people to paint, and rake leaves, trim bushes, put down mulch. I know Darren was there last year. I think Gavin was there. I did it last year. I can't remember who else was there. So if you're free that day, it's a Saturday from 8 to noon. And then finally in June, we have the drive-in theater, which I hope will still go on. It's June 25th. The movie that we'll be seeing is Frozen 2, and it's free. So spread the word.
Where is that to occur?
Stage, yes. Main stage. And so they'll have the sound system will be able to come through your car radios, right?
Wayne, on that downtown cleanup, who do we contact on it?
You can contact Tyler King with the, downtown
Okay.
Washington. Or if you let me know, I can relay the message. With the Little League baseball season being canceled, that leaves Lakeview Fields open. Normally, we would be having Little League, the season would be going on now. But since we don't have a season, we've fielded a few requests from various baseball and softball teams from around the area and outside the area to use Lakeview fields, the 4 fields up there. We were fielding quite a few calls, and then it kind of calmed down. I think they learned that the fields that we have up there are really softball fields, so the infields aren't big enough necessarily for 90-foot bases, because your bases would be in the grass. They are big enough for youth baseball tournaments and girls softball tournaments. So this coming weekend, this Saturday and Sunday, we have a youth girls softball tournament up there that's using all 4 fields. And then I know Robin's been fielding some calls. She had some calls today about tournaments the next coming weekends. And they would be tournaments, youth tournaments that would, the infields that we have would be small enough for these tournaments. So if they get the right insurance requirements and everything, we might be renting those fields out over the next few weekends for tournaments. And then finally, one thing I wanted to bring here, and we don't have to make a decision today because we're using this toilet, this porta potty, is on the East Trail at the bridge, there's a porta potty. And over May was a rough month for that porta potty. It got flipped over once, and here it is. The kids are, I'm assuming it was kids. I had to call in a guy. Our weekend guy couldn't handle this by himself, and we had to call our on-call guy in to haul the porta potty out of the river. That was one weekend, and then the next weekend they flipped it over again, just on the trail there. So I talked to Darren about it, and he said to bring it to you all about my initial goal, or not goal, but suggestion would be to remove it. One, for various reasons. One, the waterworks bathrooms and even the porta potty at the waterworks is only a quarter mile from this one. It would stop it from landing in the river. But recently, due to the impact or higher impact downtown at the waterworks building and the riverfront, last weekend, the one porta potty that we have at waterworks pretty much filled up. And so what I did this week is we had the company move the one that was at the bridge down to waterworks. So now we have 2 of them at the waterworks building. And so hopefully they won't fill up as fast. And then we switched the days that they're being emptied to Monday and Friday, because they were being emptied Tuesday, Thursday? Oh, Monday and Thursday. So now
They're Thursday the whole weekend, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, and there was some
I got,
told Wayne there's negative posts on Facebook.
Yeah, I saw them too over the weekend. So right now, that one, we're still using it. It's just been moved down to waterworks. But when we get to the point where we open the restroom there at the waterworks at the pavilions, I think my opinion is we probably should, I would like to see it removed, especially with the bathrooms right there at waterworks. It's only like a quarter mile difference. Now, when the trail reopens, then I think that's a different story. You know, you move it further down the trail and everything, and hopefully, and it's further away from the river where they can't just toss it in the river. But if that would have went down river, it would have been a pricey bill for us.
Could they be fastened down in any way?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if they could be chained to a tree or how we,
Well, don't they use kind of if there's a skid on those, and they take kind of a horseshoe type thing and drive it into the ground, securing it? Yeah.
yeah.
Something to talk about.
Yeah, I can talk with the company about that. Right now, it's in plain view. You know, when at the trail, the thing with the trail is you're dead-ended up there, and you're in the middle of nowhere, so you can do whatever. No one's going to see you unless someone else
It's
is.
right there by the river. I mean, it's not that hard
Yeah.
for them to.
And so, it costs
I
us.
told him I didn't know if somebody here at this board wanted that thing there. I said, my gosh, you move one of those and you're like.
But it costs us, because it has twice a week emptying, It's $174 a week times 52 weeks a year. It's, several $1,000s that, sitting there. So when there's the bathrooms are only a quarter mile down the trail, so
Are
something
you-
to think about for the
Are you
future.
looking for a recommendation from us, or are you just gonna?
No, I'll bring-
I'm gonna do it.
I think, once the riverfront bathrooms open up again, which could be maybe later this month, I'm not sure. Well, we're following CVC guidelines.
CDC guidelines with the COVID. Well, one, our employees don't have to clean those porta potties.
Most places,
Yeah, that's, no, that's the main reason.
Not all
Yeah.
of those make sense.
Yeah.
so most places they don't have, like other parks and rec facilities around St. Louis just
mean,
don't have bathrooms.
Because that bathroom was there because when they were building the bridge, people would sit down there, and is that the main reason why it was
Right.
placed there in the first place?
I think it was further down on the trail, and it was brought down there, I guess, for that reason.
And
But
the governor, as some of you may know, extended the
Phase one.
Phase 1 to June 15th.
Yeah.
After June 15th, we'll see what happens. I don't know what it's gonna be. If your guess is as good as mine as to what, if they move into phase 2. If they do, that might possibly open up the playgrounds,
And bathroom.
and then we would go ahead and open up the restrooms, et cetera. And we'd be one more step closer to normal, but I don't know, the state's counts are kind of, they still keep kind of going up.
I know.
Kind of flatten off, although, I got some information a while ago that, there's, some more testing that took place in a skilled nursing facility, not in Washington, some other place in the county, and, they had 6 more cases. We had been kind of steady for
Yeah.
quite a while, but there's a lot of testing that's going on. So anyway, but we'll see statewide, that's how they're making those decisions, and we're following that. So if you hear anybody or talk to anybody, playgrounds are still closed, we'll keep them closed until we get that part of that.
So Sparky, I don't think we need a recommendation tonight. Prior to this bathroom incident over the weekend, I think we were gonna need a recommendation, but since we're using it now, I don't think we need one right now.
Okay, so it's just information only.
Yeah, something to think about. That's all I have in new business.
Is there any word, a lot of people have been asking about the fair, is there any word on,
I think the Fair Board's having a meeting right now.
Yeah, I think they are.
I can't say that they will make a decision yet, I don't know, that's still up to them. I will say that, Mark Scorning, our emergency management director, the mayor and myself met with, 2 members of the Fair Board and 2 members of the chamber and, JD last Friday. We just discussed some guidelines that we think, the city really needs to adhere to. And so, I provided JD with a letter today, but, it's up to them. I think, my guess would be that they're not gonna have it. They're gonna do some smaller type of functions. It also gets into a situation of timing.
They don't, I mean,
You can't
they
just
don't
turn
have
the
time to
spigot
get all
on
this, yeah.
a month from now and say, oh yeah, we're gonna have a fair. Now it's safe. I mean, that's why a lot of conventions are canceled.
And it's not just their decision, it's entertainment and all the other
Concerts,
people
yeah, all
that
them
come,
being
with
canceled.
the program.
So, and we did advise them, I had asked them in the letter to go ahead and make a decision as soon as possible. I don't think it does anybody any good, especially all of these other, groups that, that's their largest source of revenue, is the fair. They need to come up with something else, they need to go ahead and offset that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, now,
And that would-
Silver Dollar City and some of your parks and that are opening, but on a very limited basis, and most of them have to make reservations before they come into the park.
I heard, is that how Six Flags is
Yeah.
operating?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. You have to, everything's online, that you have to,
The zoo, I think, is requiring reservation.
The zoo is?
Yes.
well, not only that, but they're closing the concessions. The water fountains are not available,
No.
so I don't know.
So, are we seeing any improvement down on the trail with social distancing? I mean, that was a concern before, and we kind of blocked it off, or
Well, I haven't been down there lately walking it, so I can't really say anything for myself.
have you heard?
I haven't heard anything.
Cars that are down there, I would say it's kind of difficult, but,
Yeah.
but still,
It seems like, I know, since the county opened up, you know, some people went back to work, and it seems like there's less
Less people.
cars down there anyways. Like, I was down there yesterday, and there's a number of cars down there, but it seemed like it was less than when we had the complaints, when
Right.
police chief was running them off and stuff like that.
Anything else? I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye, or do you want to stay another 15 minutes?
No.
Depends how hard it's raining, yeah.